'cause I'd really like to meet her and ask her why we're who we are. And tell me all your thoughts on God, 'cause I'm on my way to see her. So tell me, am I very far? Am I very far now? Am I very far now? Hey guys, so I'm sitting here without any pants on because that's the greatest way to make YouTube videos and do magic is without pants on, right? No, but I'm in my PJs and I'm gonna make a Poppet and do a little prosperity spell after midnight tonight. So I wanted to kind of share that with you. Some things you're gonna need are paper, scissors, a needle and thread actually. Some fabric. I used an old t-shirt. I just cut some fabric off an old t-shirt we weren't using anymore. You're going to need a Sharpie marker, a pencil, some herbs of your choice depending on what kind of spell or Poppet you're making. You'll need maybe two different colors of thread depending on if you want to embroider your face on or draw your face and symbols on your Poppet. And I think that's it. But I got my working candle here, and I just blew it out, but it'll be lit when I make the Poppet. And I've got some incense going, and yeah, so let me flip you around and walk you through how I make a Poppet. Okay, so I've got my piece of paper here, and the first thing we're going to want to do is, of course, draw out how big we want the Poppet to be. So I'm actually going to turn this way. You guys probably won't be able to see the whole thing, but I usually start out with a nice sized head. And so there's the head. Just a plain circular head, and then
kind of sketch out the body. It doesn't have to be perfect. I usually go by gingerbread means because it's a decently easy shape to sketch out and makes it easier to sew as well. Now the reason why I do this on paper is because this is going to be a guide for the material. So rather than sketching out on the material and getting things uneven, I do a guide.
So then you're going to want to use your scissors. There's our guide right there. So then you're going to want to use your scissors.
And I used to actually keep a more permanent guide or stencil for a Poppet in my book of shadows. However, it ripped. It was made out of cardstock instead of just normal. This is a sketchbook paper, it's just something I had lying around. But the guide in my book of shadows was like a cardstock. And I used to just keep it tucked into the same page as the page about Poppets that I made. And it ripped one day while I was using it for a friend. I was doing working for a friend, and it just kind of ripped.
A lot of people I don't think use Poppets anymore, and I think it's because it's kind of so simple that people, I think you have to, when it comes to spells, you have to use the type of magic that works for you. There's our dude, if you will. There's my hand. So he's about the size of my hand. I think that magic is a is kind of an art form, you know. So you got to use a technique that feels right for you. Um, and this is definitely one of my favorites. It's a good example of imaging magic, and there's a lot of places you can go with this. So there's our stencil, and now we're gonna want to get our fabric out. And like I said, it all depends on how big you want your poppet to be as to, you know, how much fabric and paper you need. Now, I always use a permanent marker for this part. You're going to lay your stencil down on top of your fabric, like so. And then you're just going to trace around ever so lightly.
Especially if you use a permanent marker like me. You can use washable markers too, that's fine. But the point is not to let it bleed through too much. See? Just lightly, kind of, you know. Be careful not to move your stencil too much.
So there's one, and you're gonna do it a second time. You can use, sometimes people like to connect like the hands, and then you just fold it over. We could try and do it that way.
We're pretty close so we don't waste fabric. Just do it a second time like this.
So as you can see, the neck of our guy is a little thick right there. That's fine. The sewing is really what's gonna thin it up a lot. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut around the guide that I made myself.
Try and get it as even as possible, especially if you're using glue instead of thread. I like using thread because it's reversible, basically, if you have any issues. It's easy to fix the issues, mistakes that you make. And also, it is, not only is it forgiving, but it's, you know, like I said before, you're putting a lot more of your energy into it, in my opinion. And it's an older style of practice, so.
I'm going to try and keep their hands connected here. So that way all we have to do is fold the images over.
Sure there. And it'll be slightly easier to sew them together if they're not slipping. Because that is one problem you'll run into with sewing, is that you have to keep them, especially at least in the beginning, you have to keep them held pretty, you know, pretty close together so they don't slip all over the place. Now the idea is also, if you can tell, I'm trying to cut at least a centimeter or so away from the line. Because I'm trying to give myself as much room to work with as possible. Because like I said, sewing is going to slim the figures up, the puppet up, a lot. Especially the way we're going to do it here. You'll see what I mean.
Here are my guys. My dudes. These are my dudes. Okay. So as you can see, I left them connected here. I may change that. I don't know. We're going to see how it works. But basically, you need at least 2 figures cut out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lay them on top of each other like so. Ooh, yeah, I don't think I'm going to like this. I'll probably still, even though they're connected, I'll probably still sew them together right there at that connection, because I don't know if that's going to turn out right, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so we want these guys to line up as good as possible. Okay, so now you're going to want to get your thread. I like to use a thread that's about the same color as the fabric you're using. So I'm using a green fabric, so I'm going to use a green thread for this part. Obviously, you're going to want to, if you're going to try and attempt or do, if you know how to sew, awesome. If you don't, and you're going to try to attempt it, you're going to feed a piece of thread through your needle. Have fun with that. I hate it. It's the worst part. And then you're going to basically tie a knot like this into the end of the thread. Now you're going to want to start somewhere. You're going to want to leave an opening. I like to leave an opening in the side here. So you're going to want to start somewhere there, and I stick it through all the way, pull it through, and then I just keep stitching along the same side and sticking it along the same side. And you're going to want to go maybe like, a quarter of an inch or less with each stitch. You don't want to do too far apart, because that's going to leave holes in the side of your poppet, and especially if you're using herbs, they're gonna fall out. So you want to make sure your stitching is nice and tight as possible.
And if you stitch along the line that you made, you should be pretty safe as to size, but you can kind of use your own judgment on that. So I'm going to complete this, and then I'll be back. Now,
you always want to leave, like I said before, a space open for multiple reasons, and I will flip you around now and show you what those reasons are. Welcome back around on the flip side, y'all. Okay, so this is a big secret. It's not really a secret, but this actually helps if you're criticizing your own sewing work, like I do. So you see all these knots and stuff. I don't know if you do, and you can still see kind of the lines on the fabric, and all these uneven cut edges and all that. Quick and simple way to take care of this, if you didn't know. You're probably going to need your pencil for this. Flip your poppet, without ripping it, the seams that you just worked so hard to sew. Flip it inside out. Yeah, I like to start with the head area, because, the head is bigger. You just kind of flip it. So as you can see, it's looking a little weird, but that's okay. It's still about the size of my hand. It's a pretty decent sized poppet. Arms and legs are not an even length, but that which is why we measure. But this is a pretty good poppet for it being kind of spur of the moment and just sketched out. As you can see, the stencil is bigger than the actual poppet, so please keep that in mind while you are working. I'm now going to fill this poppet. So the reason why I haven't made it a very big poppet is because I don't have a lot of herbs to fill it with. Like I said, this is going to be a prosperity poppet. I haven't done a prosperity spell before, believe it or not. So this is the first kind of thing that I'm going to do. I like to fill my poppets with mostly herbs. So, like I said, I've got these two herbs that Ravenflower sent me. I've got Texas sunflowers. I have California mountain white sage. Beans, please stay out of the blinds. I've got a whole lot of rosemary. I've got some cinnamon. Cinnamon kind of adds some power to it, as well as assists in prosperity. I've got lavender stem. There are no flowers in this lavender stem, just the stem. And I've also got mandrake, which is poisonous, by the way, so watch out for that. So I'm going to kind of make a little mixture of that. I also sometimes put little stones in my poppets. I don't have any stones for prosperity that I'm willing to put in this poppet forever, but I do have buckeyes, which are really good for prosperity and luck, as I stated in my video before. And I've also got some oils that I may or may not use to anoint my poppet. I've got sandalwood, just because honestly I love the smell of sandalwood, and it's kind of an all-over magic smell for me. And also I have just a teeny tiny bit of dragon's blood oil. So basically you just kind of mix it all together however you want. I'm thinking I'm gonna use some of these lavender sprigs first. I also like to do this. Take some little papers, like so. Write your intent on there. Okay, so then you're just going to want to sew that hole shut that you left open. It can now be sewn shut. Hello again. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you, and I'm going to try and attempt this because this is the first time I've done this myself. So I've threaded my needle, made sure I had a big, nice, thick knot there. So I'm going to kind of decide in the face where I want my eye to go.
And I'm just going to basically thread like so. Well, how about this way? We'll thread it like so, and I'll go up. So I'm going to do the creepy way here. Just going to thread an X here. Like that. So there's our eyes. Aren't they cute?
Alright, let's try a smile.
Maybe if my thread doesn't tangle first. Now, this is also kind of like a bad example on my part because I'm using a cheap, well, not only a cheap thread, but also a very thin thread. You know, this is the sewing kit that you can get at like Dollar General or Walmart. Pretty dang cheap. It's not necessarily a an embroidery kit. So, you know, there's that. That's why I have to keep going through multiple times to get a thick, you know, line for anything.
So there's his face. Like I said, I haven't done that before. And now what I'm going to do is I actually have some symbols here that I was going to embroider as well into his chest area. Since I'm running out of thread, I'm just going to draw
The last ring on him. There we go.
So, there's my Poppet, and he looks kind of bad. Maybe I should stick with just drawing and painting his face on from now on. But, yeah, I think he looks good, though. He looks just fine. He's creepy, just like I wanted him to be. Hey, Dinu. What are you doing? But anyway, so what kind of got me, one of the things that kind of got me in the mood to make this Poppet was a video that I watched by October Nightingale. Hey girl! She's my new bestie. One of my new besties of many. But she actually posted a video titled Personal Poppets and Manifestation Bowls. Yeah. She posted that last week, and in which she made a Poppet, and she would put it in a bowl and put like stones and stuff in there, and just kind of let her Poppet take a bath in that, and she would also write some affirmations and goals on paper and let her Poppet sit in that. So I'm going to do kind of that with my prosperity spell. My Poppet, I'm going to take to the altar and anoint him after midnight tonight, and I'm going to let him sit in a dish full of different stones and such, and maybe even herbs that I have that have prosperity correspondences. But I just wanted to show you how to make a Poppet, because that's how I make a Poppet, and usually they turn out prettier than this, I promise, but oh well. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great weekend, rest of your weekend, and blessed be.